Hi, this is Carolina, the Soul Coach. Welcome to my podcast. Hello and welcome to this extra podcast. How are you? How's your week going? I really hope you're having a great week. And I just wanted to come on here to talk about the storytelling circle that I am starting to run, and our first one is on the 10th of March, Monday the 10th of March, and I'm super excited for this. And this is what I wanted to chat to you about on this podcast here, is all about the storytelling circle and how it came about, because there's a little magical story to do with it and I want to share it with you. So here goes. So we, as you probably know, if you listen to the Sunday Catch-Up podcast, visited Bali. Now, there's a little funny story around that. So Amelia and her boyfriend, Freddie, have been travelling since January last year. She did come home in the summer for a couple of months, which was wonderful to see her. And then she went back again. And she's been living on and off in Bali since September. And she said to Will and I, Mum, Dad, would you come and see us in January? And we were like, do we want to go to Bali? Do we want to go to a hot country? Do we want to go and chill for a month? It was a really difficult decision to make, as you can imagine. And of course, we said yes within about a second. And we went to Bali. We booked some great accommodation, and we made sure we booked big enough accommodation so that we could spend lots of time with Amelia and Freddie. And it was epic. It was absolutely amazing. It was rainy season, so we did get wet, but it was all part of the fun. And to be honest, if it's a hot country, you don't actually mind, do you, getting wet when it's warm? It's when it's cold and wet. It's not very inspiring. But anyway, I'm digressing. So we found ourselves in Bali, and it was really awesome. And Amelia was saying that a friend of theirs was doing a storytelling evening. Now, never heard what a storytelling evening was, never heard of it before, but she explained it all to us, and we were like, oh yeah, I'm like up for anything. And even Will said, yeah, he'll come along, which is pretty unheard of, but was amazed. And so the four of us, Amelia, Freddie and the two of us, went to this storytelling evening. So storytelling is such an ancient old tradition where people would come together and share stories about their lives. And there's lots of folklore stories, and if we think about any country, there's always stories about the religion and the history and just about life. So stories are everywhere. If we listen, we hear stories on podcasts, don't we? We hear stories all around the world. And I remember reading stories to my children at bedtime, and I remember stories when I was a child and just reading those wonderful books that told fairy tale stories. And do you remember those Ladybird books that were full of stories, but they always had like some kind of inference? And I always refer to the Little Red Hen. I loved that story. It's a great story. And so stories are everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's stories. When we were in Bali, we were hearing about all their rituals and and we watched a dance and learnt about all about the history of Bali and their folklore, and it's just amazing. So stories are just everywhere, and we all have our personal stories, don't we? And so what this circle does, it actually gives us an opportunity to share stories stories of this group was about love. So it was a theme of love, and it was a love story. So we heard about stories of love, of what. So every story will have that we share has a beginning, has a middle, and has an end. And so there's a purpose to the story. So within the evening that we went to, people shared love stories of their lives. And it was so wonderful to hear what people observed about love in their lives and what they saw. So one guy shared a love story about a family who lived within an apartment block where he grew up, and how that family was united with love, even in adversities, and how he watched that with absolute admiration because it was so different to his life, but he could see how the love thread through their lives. That was such an interesting story. Another lady within that evening shared a story about how she had a place in Egypt for women who were in abusive relationships, and it was like a safe house. And she shared how love can break down. And that was a really interesting story. And there were many, many other stories that night. And I shared the story of the love between me and my dad, and how we had a magical moment about a month before he passed. And it was just absolutely incredible. And it was such an intense, loving moment, and how lucky I was to feel that. And so the joy of having such a storytelling circle and such a safe space is to hear these lovely stories, but to also to listen to other people's stories. And the power of listening to someone is incredible. It brings you so firmly into the present moment. And I believe that we all have stories within us. And I thought, what an amazing, I was left so inspired. And I just thought, what an amazing, I want to create that opportunity for people here back in the UK, in our hometown and our community, to share stories and to listen to stories. And the first one we're going to look at is joy, and share joyful stories, because how uplifting can that be? It's going to be amazing. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to sharing that. And when I think of joy, I think of the first story that comes to my mind is when my firstborn was born, Amelia, and the joy that I felt when she was born was immense. It was incredible. Holding my firstborn, there was so much love, so much joy, having this little bundle of joy. It was just amazing feeling. And yeah, it was a joyful moment, and one that I'd not really felt before. It was a totally new feeling for me, and yeah, there's lots. So we're going to be sharing lots of joyful stories on 10th of March, and then we've got another one booked in April. But people can come along just to listen. People don't have to share. People didn't share on that evening. Will didn't share. Or you can come along and share. You can plan what you want to say. It could be a poem. It could be just a story that you've heard about joy. It could be anything at all that you want to share within this beautiful sacred circle. It could be a moment of joy in your life. So it's totally a free event on the 10th of March. There's going to be refreshments there as well, and it's just going to be really cozy and really nice. So if you feel like you want to join us, please do. We would love to have your company. And if you want to know more about storytelling, or you want to start up a storytelling community within where you live, then just reach out to me, and I'll give you, from what I learned from that evening, so that you can start up your own circle. I just think it'll be great to create these storytellings, and I really think that it can help in so many communities. I really do. I think we all have a voice, and sometimes we're not heard, are we? But within these groups, we can be heard. And how uplifting will it be to share the stories? It just will be so uplifting. And I was totally surprised of how I felt after that evening in Bali. I felt so uplifted. I went feeling a bit frazzed, feeling a bit anxious, never done anything like this before. Felt a bit like, I don't know whether I want to speak up, whether I do want to speak up. I was like, I don't think I've prepped anything. I was feeling a bit off-centre. And it was okay. It was okay. I think it was a new experience, and I think we don't like really uncertain things, do we? But it was totally safe, and it will be the same in March. And I left feeling so grounded and centered and inspired, and absolutely buzzing. Really was buzzing. It was just great to connect in such a beautiful, safe space. So just thinking now, for yourself, what's your love story? Because that was the theme of the evening. What's a love story that brings to your mind? I bet it's a lovely one. And I'd love to hear it right now. That I can hear. It's like I can feel it. I really can feel it. Much love to you, and I look forward to catching up with you soon.